property for this project. The board has taken no action to rescind this authorization, and so the council will vote on the board-approved resolution in accordance with the statutory process. Randy Mastro's letter is indeed irrelevant. It's alarming that the mayor and his top official have revealed such incompetence and a lack of understanding in governing the city, and it is shameful that they're trying to block housing for New Yorkers. Thankfully, the two of them will not be relevant to this project in 3 months. This all comes as Mayor Adams is trying to take away New Yorkers' power in development decisions with his misleading ballot proposals 2, 3, and 4, which would take away the public's voice and power of negotiation and give it to the mayor's office. He, his cronies, and his enablers have cynically disguised this power grab as a solution to the housing crisis by falsely blaming the council. But we will all continue to tell the truth. This council has approved 93% of housing-related land use applications that have come to us. And we will approve even more today. Too many have been willing to accept a false narrative about who's blocking housing here. But it couldn't be clearer. It is the mayor, this mayor, who is once again trying to block housing just as he did as Elizabeth Street Garden. New Yorkers want and deserve more housing, as does this council. Let's be clear. And the way to do that is not by placing more power with the mayor, because it leaves our city vulnerable to this kind of mayor or any other willing to trade away housing and our neighborhoods for politics and personal gain. We all want solutions, but there is a reason that the mayor's ballot proposals are not being presented in an honest way to voters. New Yorkers should be cautious about being misled into giving up their voice and their power. This council will once again play a constructive role in approving housing today, just as we have throughout the last 4 years. We will also vote to approve the 1946 East 7th Street rezoning. It will facilitate the development of a new 7-story mixed-use building with 53 permanent income-restricted one-bedroom apartments for low-income seniors and community facility space in Councilmember Felder's district. The council is modifying the application and striking MIH Option 2 and requiring MIH Option 1. A landmark designation will be considered for the former Whitney Museum of American Art and former Whitney Museum of American Art Interior. Founded in 1929, this museum showcased a contemporary American artists and was located on Madison Avenue until 2014, when it relocated to its current home in the Meatpacking District. The building is in Councilmember Powers' district. JFK Logistics Center demapping will facilitate the development of a new logistics warehouse in Majority Whip Brooks Powers District. Broadway Junction Station City Map Amendment will facilitate the expansion and improvement of the Broadway Junction subway station in Councilmember Nurse's district, provide new entry and exit points, more efficient passenger circulation, and further ADA accessibility. 350 Park Avenue, an application for special permits under the East Midtown subdistrict of the Special Midtown District to facilitate the development of a new 1.4 million square foot commercial office tower and a ground floor public concourse in Councilmember Powers District. 515 7th Avenue, an application for special permits to allow hotel development and a 20% FAR bonus in exchange for indoor public space to facilitate the development of a new 34-story commercial office and hotel tower in Councilmember Bottcher's district. The council will also vote on 3 applications for revocable consent to operate a sidewalk cafe. Approving applications submitted by Lava Rock Kitchen in Majority Leader Farias' district, and disapproving those submitted by El Caldero Restaurant and Sports Bar in Councilmember Stevens' district, and Green Pavilion Restaurant and Sports Lounge in Councilmember Joseph's district. Next, we'll vote on the following finance items. A preconsidered resolution sponsored by Councilmember Justin Brannan approving the new designations and changes in the designations of certain organizations to receive funding in the expense budget. Today, we'll also vote on the following resolutions. Resolution 860, sponsored by Majority Leader Amanda Farias, calls on the Department of Citywide Administrative Services to develop and implement a qualifying practical exam for painters as part of the civil service testing process. Resolution 854, sponsored by Councilmember Yusuf Salam, calls on the New York State Legislature to pass and the Governor to sign S4045A2299, requiring the installation of intelligent speed assistant devices within the vehicles of drivers who commit repeated violations of maximum speed limits. Resolution 718, sponsored by Councilmember Rita Joseph, calls on the New York State Education Department to adapt oral health education for elementary school students. Resolution 929A, sponsored by Councilmember Gail Brewer, calls on the New York State Legislature to pass and the Governor to sign the Protect Our Schools Act. This legislation would prohibit immigration enforcement activities in public and charter school settings without a judicial warrant and restrict access to student records without a judicial order or subpoena. Next, we'll vote on the following legislation. Introduction 540A, sponsored by Councilmember Justin Brannan, would require the Office of Technology and Innovation to assess the feasibility of adopting a cloud computing policy for city technology systems and submit a report of the assessment's results to the Council. I invite Councilmember Brannan to the podium to discuss his legislation.
Thank you, Speaker. This is something we've been talking about for a while. It would blow your mind that the city of New York in the year 2025 still has floors and floors of data servers that we're just wasting money on. It's not an efficient way to do business in the city of New York. The Cloud First bill that we're passing today is an opportunity for the city to deliver better services and save money by doing it, which we love. With more and more basic government benefits mainly applied for and obtained online, New Yorkers need the city to bring its website servers and systems up to speed, at least into the 21st century. Cloud computing could free city government from its reliance on costly and outdated on-site data centers and floors of servers like we have now. It would save us money. It would save us time that we could pour back into programs and focus on making our city more affordable instead of paying rent for floors of beeping and booping lights like as if it's 1955. So this is a long time coming. City Hall really should have done this on their own, but that's why we're here. So this is a good bill, and hopefully it'll save us some money and increase efficiency. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Introduction 429A, sponsored by Councilmember Pirina Sanchez, would require inspections of gas piping to be conducted by either a licensed master plumber or a licensed journeyman plumber working under their district supervision. The bill would also amend the definition of emergency work to allow the repair of a plumbing system to protect the public from unsafe conditions or restore water to a building or dwelling unit. It would also expand the Department of Buildings' ability to seize equipment used for unlicensed work. I invite Councilmember Sanchez to the podium to discuss her legislation.
Thank you, Speaker. Today, the Council will be voting on Intro 429A, which will improve safety standards for inspections and maintenance of gas systems across our city. Several of those changes would be in relation to, I'm very short. Probably just going to have a line in front of my face. Several of those changes would be in relation to Local Law 152 of 2016, which created periodic inspection requirements of gas piping systems in response to a series of fatal gas explosions in the years prior, including a 2015 gas explosion in the East Village that leveled the building and killed 2 people. That was caused by an illegal flexible hose attached to the gas line to divert gas to apartments in the building. This bill would amend the procedures for those gas piping inspections by requiring that the inspecting entity be either a licensed master plumber or a licensed journeyman plumber working under the direct supervision of a licensed master plumber. This bill would also amend the scope of inspections requiring gas piping inspections to include the point of connection with gas appliances. Additionally, this bill would change the definition of ordinary plumbing work to include the replacement of certain gas appliances, among other revisions, to extinguish ambiguities in the administrative code and align requirements with existing practices. I want to be clear about the revision relating to the definition of ordinary plumbing work. The Council is is codifying an essential clarification that all gas work, including the replacement of domestic gas appliances, must be performed by a licensed master plumber who is registered with and is required to regularly file their work with the Department of Buildings. This important clarification codifies existing practice and is a recognition of the dangerous nature of gas work. In June, I introduced Intro 1321, which also will have a follow-up companion bill. And 1321 is an expansive reform to the existing building code, which builds on Intro 429. The existing building code process was a product of a consensus-driven process that began in 2014. 2014, this is not yesterday or just a few years ago, and was shaped by trade experts, building owner representatives, and city agencies. Intro 1321 was drafted by the Buildings Department and would further codify key elements of safety in our building systems, ensuring that New Yorkers can trust the homes that they live in. The changes contemplated today in Intro 429 are in line with that consensus-driven 1321. I look forward to continuing this collaborative process with all stakeholders and my colleagues on the council. Our shared goal is clear: to deliver safe, dignified homes for every New Yorker. Thanks.
Introduction 955A, sponsored by Councilmember Kevin Riley, would require the Department of Education and the Department of Youth and Community Development to each submit annual reports on the after-school programs they offer, as well as those offered by their respective contractors. I invite Councilmember Riley to the podium to discuss his legislation.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. When I first introduced Intro 955, the goal was accountability, making sure the city reported who was being served in our after-school programs. With the amendments in 955A, we've gone even further. With it passing today, families will now have a clear, plain language information in top languages they speak, so parents know what's being offered, what's required, and how to apply, without having to navigate confusing systems. This bill also requires New York City Public Schools and DYCD to report annually on program locations, available seats, enrollments, demographics, and attendance. That transparency shows where programs thrive, where gaps exist, and where resources must go to ensure equity. We strengthen this reporting to shine a light on students too often left behind: English language learners, youth in foster care, children in temporary housing, and those eligible for free and reduced price lunch. After-school programs are not extras. They are an essential extension of our school system. With 955A, New York City families will gain the tools to access vital programs. Our agencies are empowered to lead with further transparency, and every scholar will have a fair shot at opportunity, mentorship, enrichment, and pathways to success. I would like to thank my colleagues for supporting this bill and looking forward to passing it today. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Next, to mark Climate Week NYC, we will vote on several pieces of legislation to strengthen and streamline environmental planning in our city. Introduction 1271A, sponsored by Councilmember James Gennaro, would require the Office of Long-Term Planning and Sustainability to solicit input from the Environmental Justice Advisory Board regarding the development of the Long-Term Sustainability Plan, otherwise known as Plan NYC. Introduction 1302A, also sponsored by Councilmember Gennaro, would streamline the city's environmental planning efforts by requiring the Office of Long-Term Planning and Sustainability to incorporate the Long-Term Energy Plan and Climate Adaptation Plan within its quadrennial update to Plan NYC. And Introduction 1327A, also sponsored by Councilmember Gennaro, would streamline the stormwater permitting process by allowing developers to obtain a stormwater construction permit before executing and recording a maintenance easement. I invite Councilmember Gennaro to the podium to discuss his important legislation.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you. I hate to be this guy, but I had eye surgery a week ago. Is there any way we could turn that light down a little bit? Because it's really, I can't. Sorry. Oh, it's good. It's good. Okay. Good afternoon and happy Climate Week. I'm honored to take this opportunity to discuss the three bills the speaker just mentioned being voted on today that I authored, all of which aim to advance New York City's climate resiliency. Intro 1302. Plan YC has long been the city's strategic sustainability plan, charting how we create a more sustainable, resilient, and environmentally just city. To give some history, I authored Local Law 17 of 2008, which created in law the Office of Long-Term Planning and Sustainability and the Office of Resiliency as a permanent part of the Mayor's Office. This bill modernizes Plan YC by eliminating reporting redundancies and ensuring that the city's long-term energy plan, called Power Up NYC, and climate adaptation plan, known as Adapt NYC, are integrated into future Plan YC updates, so making Plan YC a little bigger. This bill also mandates that the Sustainability Advisory Board, that's the board that advises the Mayor's Office of Climate and Environmental Justice, known as MOC-EJ, in the creation of Plan YC. So this bill mandates that, that the Sustainability Advisory Board includes an energy industry representative, which it does not have now. This bill also allows members of the New York City Panel on Climate Change, which I created in law a long time ago, to receive compensation for their time and expertise. It's important because we're just working from volunteers and we want the best, and we're willing to compensate them now so that the New York City Panel on Climate Change can be all that it needs to be. This bill ensures Plan YC continues to be ambitious, comprehensive, and responsive to the climate realities New Yorkers face today. Intro 1271. This has to do with the Environmental Justice Advisory Board. Also, as the speaker mentioned, the EJAB. Climate change does not impact every community equally. Low-income neighborhoods and communities of color often bear the greatest burdens. The Environmental Justice Advisory Board, EJAB, brings together advocates, academics, and public health experts to speak for those communities. The EJAB advises MOC-EJ on EJ matters, and MOC-EJ also facilitates the production of Plan YC with the Sustainability Advisory Board. But the EJAB does not play now a formal role in the Plan YC process. It should. Now it will. This bill would create a significant role for the EJAB in the Plan YC process. It would require MOC-EJ to formally consult the EJAB during the drafting of Plan YC, making sure that equity and justice are not just an afterthought, but central to our city's long-term sustainability strategy. It would elevate the EJAB and codify the requirement for multiple EJ voices in the Plan YC process. That's a good one. The first one was good too, but I just, Intro 1327A, Stormwater Pollution Prevention Plan, known as the SWIP. DEP is mandated by the state to require stormwater pollution prevention plans, SWIPs, for new private and public building construction and many other projects. These buildings and projects have the ability to manage their stormwater on site and keep it out of the stormwater system. That's very important. But the bureaucratic delays in getting SWIP plans approved are onerous. DEP can't even get its own projects to move. This bill removes needless bureaucratic delays that have slowed down both public and private projects by shifting when so-called, quote, maintenance easements, close quote, for holding tanks and other stormwater infrastructure can be executed. That is the That is the SWIP bottleneck. This bill fixes that. So the stormwater prevention requirements stay just as strong, but projects won't be stuck in limbo forever while paperwork is processed. These three bills reflect the Council's commitment to a greater, healthier, and more resilient and environmentally just New York City. I thank the Speaker. I thank my colleagues and the advocates who helped shape these bills with important discussions, and I urge my fellow council members to join. Oh, I'm going to say that on the floor. I'm not going to say it now. So there you have it. How's that for you? Good? All right. Lights back on. Okay.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Jim. Introduction 1034A, sponsored by Councilmember Julie Menin, would require the relevant city agencies to provide notices to tenants in connection with renewals for senior citizen and disability rent increase exemptions, SCREE and DREE. Landlords would also be notified about eligibility for real property tax abatements and eligibility for exemptions from payments in lieu of taxes for certain properties occupied by senior citizens or persons with disabilities. Councilmember Menin could not be with us today, but I thank her for her legislation. And finally, Introduction 780A, sponsored by Councilmember Sandy Nurse, would allow safe and sick time under the city's Earned Safe and Sick Time Act to be used to provide care for a child or care recipient, attend a legal proceeding for public benefit or housing, respond to a public disaster, or respond to workplace violence. This bill would also provide an additional 32 hours of unpaid safe or sick time under ESSTA, which would be available for use immediately upon hire and subsequently on the first day of each calendar year. And Introduction 621A, also sponsored by Councilmember Nurse, would expand the definition of tenant harassment to include unlawful evictions. Councilmember Nurse could not be with us today, but I thank her for her legislation as well. That concludes our stated agenda. With that, we'll take on topic questions on the agenda items we're voting on today.
Chris? Thank you. Madam Speaker, a bunch of questions on Just Home, which turned into a little bit of a but on Mayor Castro's letter, he's citing statute in saying that the project would need mayoral approval. I'm just wondering if you can go into a little bit why you believe that's wrong and why statutorily you believe the council can move forward on it. Also in the letter, Mastro proposed kind of like a plan B where he said you can move Just Home to a different site in Councilmember Nurse's district. If you can go into why you find that proposal unacceptable.
Okay, thank you very much, Chris. I'll take the second part first. There is no proposal in Councilmember Nurse's district, so we can stop the chat there, right there. Mr. Mastro came to us with, just like you said, something about moving, but with no plan to move and where to move. So there is nothing there. As
what he referenced in the letter just wasn't accurate.
There is nothing there. There is nothing there. We have legislation that has been in the works for a couple of years, worked on by H&H and our partners here today. So this is a forward-moving piece of legislation with a lot of hard work that went into it. It will be passed today. As far as a withdrawal of the project, H&H is a state-authorized public corporation that's governed by its board of directors. So this legislation is going to go forth and will pass the city council today. What the mayor can or cannot do at that point remains to be seen as far as the council is concerned. The board approved a resolution authorizing the lease of this land for the purpose laid out in its resolution, and the board's taken no contrary action. And the council, as the authorized body to approve it, will do that.
On member deference, Councilmember Marmorato has opposed the project. Does this mean member deference is dead, the fact that you're going to pass this today?
Well, member deference keeps on coming up as a policy, which it isn't. Member deference is not a policy, and what we continue to say is that this council has not always deferred its vote to the local member. We believe in housing. We believe in pushing forth the agenda of housing. This is the most pro-housing council in a generation. We have approved 93% of housing proposals that have come to us. And again, even looking at the ballot proposals, which don't tell the public the truth about what is behind it, and that their voices are going to be taken away in these negotiations where the public and the council right now have the ability to take what the public wants to the table, negotiate in good faith. These proposals are going to take that power away from the public, from the council as duly elected officials acting in behalf of our constituents. They're all interconnected. So once again, we say this is the most pro-housing council in a generation. We are so proud of that record, and we're going to move forward today in that spirit.
Yes.
Hi, Kelly.
Hello. Follow-up to that. Why do you think Randy Mastro was the one that came to you about pulling this proposal versus the mayor, who was initially supportive of it? What can you tell us about that? And then do you think this is going to lead to a lawsuit then? If, you know, the mayor's side says that they have some type of legal basis for this, you say they don't. It sounds like that can head in that direction.
Yeah, there really are no concrete answers to your questions, Kelly, even though they are very well taken. Why Mr. Mastro would choose to, you know, inject himself into legislation that has gone forth that both the administration and the council have worked on for years, that the mayor approved and was in favor of up until days ago, is perplexing and baffling. So I can't answer that. As far as a lawsuit down the road, can't answer that either. We are, you know, once again moving with this legislation as put forth that we believe is necessary, that we believe that is in the spirit of housing, of good housing for the people of the city of New York that need it.
And just quick follow-up, if they would have come to you, let's say, a couple months ago and proposed moving it somewhere else, would that have been something that you would have been open to? I mean, possibly putting this project somewhere else, to Chris's point.
It's tough to take a look at that as a hypothetical right now because this has been worked on for so many years, again, with our partners in good faith. So it's really hard to take on that hypothetical right now.
Two questions. So the first one, Just Home, you said that Adams will be irrelevant in 3 months. Why? What do you mean by that? Can you explain?
There's going to be a new mayoral administration. You guys take a look at the polls just like the rest of us do. Enough said.
And the second question, it's on a gas bill. I don't know who you want to answer, but the gas bill. So critics are saying that it could make simple installs cost as much as $500. That could increase rents, and it could cause a backlog because there's not enough master plumbers. And this is specifically the provision that requires them to do certain appliance installs. So if you just want to address that criticism.
Well, Councilmember?
Thank you so much. So that's exactly what I was attempting to address in my remarks, is that we're codifying existing practice. So today, a licensed master plumber is required to be the entity that installs a gas range, for example. And if that is not happening, that is a flag for the Department of Buildings. And, you know, anyone who is making complaints with respect to that change, it's not really a change, it's just a clarification. But what I will say in terms of the shortage of licensed master plumbers and anyone else who is certified to do this work, that's a conversation that I certainly want to have as Chair of Housing and Buildings, is how do we get more folks into the trades, and is there a conversation about other individuals who could be certified to do this work safely. But y'all, public in the city of New York, you should not be installing a gas range yourself. It is not safe. It should be a plumber that's doing that work.
Speaker, thank you. My question is about member deference following up. Despite whether it's a formal policy or not, I believe this will be the first time during your speakership that you will advance a land use change over a no objection. I've heard you say before, like, you try to get members to say yes on projects you believe in. I was wondering if you could speak to why you think this project is worth going over the objection of the council.
Well, once again, if you take a look at the record and the history of this particular council, and I keep on saying, I said it during our last pre-stated presser, my mantra to this body from day one has always been, we cannot be the council that says no to housing when so many people need a place to live. So when it comes to housing, what we want to do is always work with our local members in the spirit of providing housing for every single district. Now, in the former session, member deference, we did not necessarily support member deference for everything that went forward. So it's I'm no stranger to, looking at the bigger picture. As far as what we're going to do today, again, it's in the spirit of housing. It's the way that this body wants to move forward. Once again, the most pro-housing council in a generation. This is the spirit that this legislation will go forth.
Brief follow-up, does the mayor's kind of attacks, as you described them, on member deference through the Charter Commission, and provide any extra motivation to override member deference in this case?
I wouldn't call it motivation because, again, you can take a look at, and I keep saying this, you can take a look at the record of the members standing here for almost 4 years and what we have done. City of Yes. I mean, we can go on and on and on and on as far as our, that's right, zoning proposals. This is the chair right here. We can go on and on about our record. How these proposals even got to be an issue for this charter commission, we question that because that is certainly not the record that this body for these almost 4 years have stood on, and that is not what our record reflects. Our record reflects the exact opposite. And if there is anyone blocking housing right now, it certainly is not this council. It's the other side of City Hall. Thank you all. Oh. Hi.
I've got two.
Okay.
First, today the Department of Investigation reported that a corrections department officer had unwittingly violated the city's sanctuary policies on multiple occasions by providing information to ICE. According to the report, this happened because DOC was not providing staff adequate information about how to comply with the policies. Are you concerned that this might be happening in other agencies?
It is a concern, and it's a concern because these incidents were preventable. The fact that DOC staff who work closely with federal task force were unfamiliar with city law and never prepared to properly handle requests related to civil immigration enforcement is a failure of the mayoral administration. It is a concern that the training is not out there for individuals that should know better, don't know better.
And then the other one, there's been some interest in why you decided to introduce an overhaul of the city council rules now, just a few months ago in your tenure. Why do it now instead of leaving it to the next year?
Oh.
I understand though you have tried in the past about like earlier.
For years, we've tried, and I really would caution the media about using the word overhaul. These few changes are not an overhaul to the rules of the council. All right, so let's just stop using that word overhaul because it's being misused. Most of the changes are really just making language and sections clearer, aligning rules with recent changes in law, and codifying existing practices. So there are some proposed substantive changes which are the focus of continued discussion, which we are going through right now. Good question.
Yeah, on the rules too, I guess. If they are just straightforward housekeeping changes, why are the rules not being voted on today? Is there simply too much internal pushback on them?
Again, as with everything that we do as a body, we're taking in the considerations of all council members. We want to make sure that we're all on the same page, that the purpose in the meeting going forward of these rules, what this actually means for the institution itself. So we are still in discussion with all members to make sure that we are aligned in changing any rules.
Thank you all.
Thank you all. Thank you all.
Thank you, Ms.
Let's go to work.